Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of Creating the Vision. I have a super special guest. This week, I had the honor of being on her podcast. And so now we're having her on Creating the Vision. And I'm really intrigued to have her share her story with you guys. This is yet again another Mental Health Month of May episode where we are talking all things mental health, but also sharing our stories and leveraging the power of our stories to help others find synergy, find alignment, find the ability and opportunity to be seen and felt and heard. So, without further ado, Mitzi Ocasio, the founder of Let's Think LLC, which is all about pondering some of issues of life that make you think. And so she has Let's Think with Mitzi, and I'm going to kick it over to her to introduce herself and tell us a little bit about. She's also a children's book author. Oh my goodness, all of the things. So welcome, Mitzi. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast today. I'm so excited to have you.
No, thank you for inviting me. I'm so excited to be here on this show and just to be able to bring any type of enlightenment or any type of, sprinkle dust, whatever you want to call it. There it goes. I want to bring it in
Yep.
because I truly do believe what you're doing is just sharing other people's perspective, because if you share someone's testimony, you don't know how somebody else can relate to that, and I think that's the reason why I started Let's Think, is because I knew that I wasn't alone in my thoughts. Being an overthinker, I mean, come on, how many of us are overthinkers, especially us women? Goodness, we overthink so much that I know that if your significant other's telling you, calm down now. It's not that serious. Or stop thinking so much, right? Because our minds are just going a million miles an hour. And for any of those mamas out there, we already know when it comes to our children, we just overthink times 1,000. You know what I mean? Like my children are under 3 years old, 2 under 3, and I'm already thinking about, like, oh my goodness, am I gonna like my son's girl one day, or what type of grandmother am I gonna be? And I'm just like, these are still babies. So it's just like these overthinking thoughts affect your mental health more than what we know. And I didn't realize how severe they can really be, the thoughts that we replay over and over and over our minds, until I started my show. Because the more I started to speak with other people, the more I realized, like, you know what, something has to change within myself. You know what I mean? And then I started diving deeper into my spiritual path, of trying to find God more, and he showed me a different type of way of being and seeing and just perceiving, and that also helped me as well. So I'm not pushing God on anybody, because that's not my way of life, but I cannot acknowledge my way of being now without giving some credit to God. You know what I'm saying? But I think if anybody's out there who is listening and just wants to know what's a great way to control your overthinking, one key that I learned is filter your thoughts. And I know that sounds hard, like, how can I really filter my thoughts? But filtering your thoughts can easily be done by recognizing what you don't want to think about. You know what I mean? You don't have to think about everything that comes in our minds. And I think that's the biggest thing that people really need to acknowledge, that we don't have to think about everything. Like, I don't need to think about me possibly crashing into this medium in the highway and flipping over and dying. You know what I mean? That's not something I want to think about while I'm driving. So I'm like, no, I don't need to think about that. Pronounce it. Say it out loud. Like, for any of you guys that have seen the movie Luca, the Disney movie Luca? You have? Yes. Okay, good. You remember the part when they say, Silencio, Bruno? So every time that they had that intrusive thought not to do something, he was just like, Silencio, Bruno. So now that's my thing, where I just say, Silencio, Bruno, when things get so obnoxiously loud, where it's just like, no, Mitzi, let's come back down to earth. But yeah, that's my little spiel.
I love that you shared that. And I love that you shared about the intrusive thoughts and filtering our thoughts. Oh my goodness. That is such sound, solid advice for how we can stop the overthinking. To your point, I think if you're a mom or a parent in general, which, most of my listeners are moms, they're women, they're entrepreneurs, they're business owners, they're in corporate, we overthink everything. doesn't, and I will often tell people that I am so good at overthinking myself into inaction that it's almost like I've scared myself into just not even doing it because I've thought of every single reason or way that it could go wrong, that I might fail, that I might not, achieve the goal that I want, that people wouldn't buy into what it is that I'm doing. Like I have literally had all of those intrusive thoughts that you're talking about. And I love that you just helped me silence all of them now through Silencio, Bruno. I love
I
it.
know. Just right away. Just put your hand up. Silencio, Bruno. It's done. Just because I mean, it gets so overwhelming. Like we have so much on our plate already. You know what I mean? People, yes. I'm not gonna doubt the men. Any men listening out there, I understand you have a lot on your plate, but there's just a difference between men's load and women's load that there's just no really comparison. You know what I mean? Or if you're just a single father, that right there, yes, you're gonna have a huge relation when it comes to us women because we take on the world. We literally take on the world. We do everything and anything that's possible to make sure that our surroundings are good enough for our mindset because I didn't realize that I was so obsessed of trying to keep my house clean and my house organized because I felt like that was the only sense of power that I had once I had my children. Because once I
Mm.
had my children, I felt like there was no more control over what I can do because everything landed on my children. But once I realized like no, it's more than this. I have more control. Then that's when I was like, okay, let me start filtering my thoughts. And then I started realizing like our internal dialogue and what we tell ourselves also has a big impact because I don't know about you, but me, I hate my birthday. And when my birthday comes around, I feel like crap. I am just like a Debbie Downer. I'm in depressive mode, and I'm just like, and I was just so fed up of feeling like this every birthday. So I was like, God, what do I do? And then it came across me. It was just like your internal dialogue. What are you telling yourself during this time? And I'm telling myself, oh, I should have never been born. I was just a waste. Nobody needs to deal with me. So it's just like these intrusive thoughts come dialing in, but it's also our internal dialogue because I'm accepting it to be my own truth. You know what I mean? And it's like you have to ask yourself this question when, especially because it's mental health awareness, you have to be aware of your mental health and what you're talking to yourself because the world will always be against you or it will be for you. But whatever it is, that will never really affect you because what's already going inside you is already eating you up. And what are you telling yourself? You know what I mean? Because you can be a beautiful individual, but you will never feel beautiful because you told yourself you're ugly for so many years. You know what I mean? And I think that's the reason why people have body dysmorphia is because they can't accept the reality that they choose not to claim as their truth. You know what I mean? They can't claim it as their truth what everybody else sees because they don't see that. You know what I mean? Because they accept a different truth. So it's just like what are you really telling yourself? So I think that's something like those big major questions to bring you back to reality because we can believe a lie so easily and make it our truth and it's just like no. Let's remember that we are whole already. We are beautiful already. We are great already. We are amazing individuals. Our problem is that our mindset allows us to compare and then feel disappointed when we are not the same. But we are not supposed to be the same. You know what I mean?
Right. It's right. So true. Yes. Oh my goodness. You just touched on something that I want to elaborate on when you said like something about your birthday. You said, if you hate your birthday. I did for the longest time. I was the same way. Mitzi, I was the same way. I used to hate it because, to your point, I equated birthdays with I am now this age and I have not achieved the level of success or the level of,
Yes.
I am not far enough in my life that I want to be. And I feel like I am failing as I get older.
Yes.
I'm not there. And so every year it used to be that date on the calendar that was almost like, oh, I don't want to celebrate this. No, because I haven't accomplished this. I haven't done this. I said I was going to do this. And I said I was going to do all these things. And
Yeah.
then you realize, but wait, but who says I have to do all those things before this date? Who says I have to accomplish this before this date? And actually,
Exactly.
if I really look back and think of all the things that I did accomplish in that year of life, I did a lot. Maybe that was a year that I
Exactly.
birthed a child and nursed that child and kept that child alive and then went back to
Yeah.
work and did all of these things. It's like there were so many other things when we get so caught up in getting, being somewhere or that milestone or that marker that we attach so many external validation and factors into where we are. And then the birthday became the reminder of what I'm not, instead of
Yes.
celebrating all of the things that I am. And
Exactly.
once I've had that mindset reframe, it's like, oh my goodness. Now I love my birthday. I love celebrating it. I actually say I celebrate like my birthday month, my birthday weekends, like everything in the month of January was like, nope, sorry. I need this because it's my birthday month because I was born and I love celebrating all of the wonderful things about me. So I kind of went from from one extreme to the next. But it fits. I like this narrative a lot better. Like you said, it's the I love that you mentioned the lies that we tell ourselves because I've written about this because I do believe we tell ourselves so many lies. And it's because, and I would love to hear kind of some of, if you're willing to share, even some of the lies that maybe you've told yourself over over the course of your life up to now. But I know for me, it's definitely been pieces of worthiness, the lie that I tell myself that like, well, I'm just not really worth it, or maybe that's just not my dream. I have it here and I have it here, but it's for those that are not watching, like I have it in my heart or I have it in my head, but maybe that's just not for me. Maybe that's just for someone else. Or I see someone else's success and think, well, that's great for them because that's totally for them. Like, yeah, that's totally like for them, but that couldn't be for me. No, no way. No
Yeah.
way.
Well, those last two that you said, those are two that I've said over and over again. But another one that I've had issues with is I always used to tell myself, it doesn't matter. It doesn't
Mm,
matter. And that statement is so, it's so short, but it affects so much because what are you saying it doesn't matter for? It doesn't matter my feelings. It doesn't matter what I want to eat. It doesn't matter what I think. It doesn't matter my opinion. It doesn't matter how I feel. It doesn't matter what I wear. It doesn't matter, but it really does because I matter. My feelings matter. And once and it still chokes me up saying it out loud because in my spirit I know that I matter. So and that's the thing that people don't realize, like words have power. And I
yeah.
didn't realize how much words have power until I started consciously being aware of how my words made me feel. And every time I said something that went against what I knew in my heart, it hurt me. It hurts me more than a stranger calling me out on something that's of their opinion. So it's just like our words and what we tell ourselves is truly truly impactful because do you know you matter? Do you know you care? Do you know that you were born for a reason? Even if you don't know the reason. And the one that you said about, oh, my dream is too big for me or it's not for me. I mean, man, I'm facing that battle right now where I'm trying to remind myself that it's okay to dream big. You know what I mean? And I think that's one thing that I continuously tell myself is like it's okay to dream big. Like cuz like you can have these visions. You can see what you want and you desire. You can have it in your heart. But until you really actually believe it, you're not going to appreciate the blessing in the moment because how we see it and in our reality sometimes crisscross, but it doesn't look like how we see it in our vision. So when it actually crosses our path, we won't accept it to be valid
Yeah.
because it's not how we imagine it to be. And
Yeah.
then we get disappointed and say it never happened to us, but it did. You know what I mean? Like love came across your path, but it wasn't time. You know what I mean? That moment to level up at your school or at your work, maybe it came across you, but it wasn't for you. But hey, maybe something is better coming for you. You know what I mean? Like I feel like there's always a moment for you to learn in the season, and I think reflecting on your words and what you tell yourself allows you to learn. You know what I mean? Just to learn from that season because every season I feel like I'm learning something new where I need to either stop doing or start doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. That resonates so much with me and I think with the listeners as well, because as we think about our mental health too, oh my goodness, how many times have we ignored those signs too, ignored the
Yeah.
things that are for us, all because we have just continued to tell ourselves, well, that couldn't possibly be for me. I mean, I know it's right in front of me now or it's coming to me, but that's got to be for someone else. It
Yeah,
can't be for me.
or they accept like this is as good as it gets. Oh my goodness, you don't know how many times I told myself
Yeah.
this and I was just like, Mitzi, no. And it hurts me to even say that sign because it's like you're telling me I'm settling. You telling me this is really as good as it gets? Like I'm not meant for better. I'm not supposed to have a better home. I'm not supposed to have like better children. I'm not supposed to have a better job. Like this is it? Like no, come on. You telling me for the rest of how many years I live, I'm supposed to just settle with this? Like no, ladies and gentlemen, I think we have to remember like our concept of time is not valid. How we perceive time is not right. That's the reason why we overthink. You know what I mean? That's the reason why mental health is a big thing because we feel pressured. You know what I mean? Like you were saying earlier about those milestones. Those milestones are pressures. You know what I mean? They're pressured from your family, from generation, from culture, from society, from the world, from time himself because for some reason time has this gun hole chokehold on you where it's like you're supposed to be married, you're supposed to have kids by 28, you're supposed to have a good degree and be a CEO. Like goodness, 28 years old is that's a lot of pressure.
I
And
know.
then for all of the 40s and 30 years old, I mean goodness, way to make me feel like shit. I mean excuse my language, but you know what I mean, like it's not fair. You know what I mean? It's not fair for us who are just doing our best each and every day. And I think that's the key that we got to remember. Like, did you do your best? Yes. Did you cry today? Maybe. It's okay. Did you at least keep on going? Yes. That's all that matters, you know, because I'm a crier. I need to find a club that we just got to cry our problems out.
I love it.
You know what I mean? Like, I'll just cry today. But, you know,
Join that
like,
club with you.
you know what I'm saying? But, like, sometimes it's like we got to remember, like, we are like warriors and just so, and especially our moms. I mean, come on, our kid can slap us and then love us in less than 10 minutes and we're just here just taking it, knowing dang well that if it was a grown man that slapped us we would be ready to box or call the police. You know what I'm saying? Like no, but we have children that are abusing us and using us, sucking our soul away from us and acting like gremlins if they don't get enough food and TV. Oh my goodness, but you know, we love them because goodness, that's a part of us. You know, and the fact that they are a part of us, we also get to see what we are dealing with, they are also dealing with. You know what I'm saying? Like sometimes I see my sons and I'm just like, I know what you're thinking because I would think that way. I see how your mind is working because that's that's how my mind works too. And I think as parents we forget that. You know what I mean? We forget to just remember that we made them. You know what I mean? And if you didn't have your children and you adopted them, honey, pay attention and you're going to be able to find out every little thing about them. You know, empathy, that compassion is just there, you know? So, I don't know. I guess that's my opinion.
Yeah. No, I appreciate you sharing your perspective, and it will resonate with so many listeners because, I mean, as we're talking about mental health and talking about the importance of focusing on that, we have to address these kinds of behaviors or these kinds of thoughts, like like you said, the filter, the intrusive thoughts, the behaviors around how we either parent or how we even look at our own kids and identify their behavior, in an effort to better understand them, but also identify things in us too. They were
Yeah.
like, oh wow. And I think especially the negative self-talk, that's something that, I've got two teens, and so a boy and a girl, and then I have my little one. But my little one all the time will tell me, "Mommy, you're so beautiful," or "You're this," or if I say something about my weight or my appearance or anything, my daughter will be the first to call me out on it
Mm,
and just remind me, like, like, you look great, or you need to stop worrying. You
I
just
know.
stop overthinking. Stop, just go be you. And I think that's a message that, as we think about mental health and what it means to us, I do think it means something different to everyone, and how we care for ourselves looks different to everyone. What does it look like to you?
For me, caring for my mental health, that's a good question. Goodness, way to make me think about that because I'm constantly doing it. because I know that I'm crazy. You know what I mean? Like, I know I have my crazy moments. So it's just like, I know this is like constant, every
I'm sure we
second.
all do.
I know, right? So I think it's just continuous reminders and repetitiveness. You know what I mean? Like, anytime I get a negative or evil thought or just something real ugly, or a conversation I start to have within myself with somebody else that will probably never happen. We all will have those. Like, all of a sudden I'm mad at my dad for a thing. And I'm like, why am I having this conversation? And he's not even here. 2, it's all by myself. And 3, I'm probably never going to have this conversation with him anyway. So no, this needs to end. So it's like recognizing those moments, I think, is very important. You know what I mean? Because it goes back to accepting the truth to a lie. Like, if I were to accept a conversation to continue on in my head that I'm playing out all by myself, both parties, it comes down to like recognizing if you choose to allow it to continue, you can develop anger inside. And then not only are you mad at what you accepted to last longer in your mind than what it should be, you get mad at everybody else around you, and then you take it out. I mean, come on, we're mothers. We're the strongholds in the household. So if we're the ones that are mad, everyone else is going to know, and they're going to feel it, and they're going to be confused, and they're going to wonder, why is it on me? And one thing I've learned is that we love to do the silent treatment. And then that keeps us in our mind. You know what I'm saying? And if we are staying in our mind, still playing out scenarios, still playing out conversations. Now I moved on from my father to my husband, now to my future child's wife that he's still a baby and never even met. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's ridiculous. It goes nonstop until I say it stops. So it's like, filtering out my thoughts is one of the biggest things I do. Repeating to myself that I got this. It's okay. God is with me. God is with me. It brings me peace, because not only do I remind myself that I don't need to be in control of everything, it reminds me that God already has everything laid out, so I don't need to worry about that. I don't need to have this conversation with myself when God already knows what conversations I already will have in the future. You know what I mean? I don't need to worry about any dumb things I'm going to do, because God already knows that I'm going to be doing dumb things anyways. So it's like, at this point, it comes down to, what do I need to do to make sure that I'm functional? You know what I mean? And then one thing I learned is that I need to take care of myself, or my own mental health. Like, I need to take a shower. I need to wash my hair. I need to just have some moment of just silence, because I need to regroup and get myself back, because I'm not a functional wife. I'm not a functional mother. I'm not a functional podcaster, writer, student. I'm not functioning at all in any areas of my life until I feel at peace within myself. Like, I feel good about myself, and even if that means just taking a shower, then go take a shower. Or if that means go take a walk, then go take a walk, or take a drive. Do whatever that gives you peace, because like we said earlier, it's going to be different for everybody. But it took me a while to find that. You know what I mean? And then once I did, I realized, like, yeah, this is me, and I'm gonna claim this as mine, and I'm gonna accept this, because this is what helps me. And I see that it's a difference. Once I started to claim that, I started seeing a difference in my relationship with my husband, with my family, with my own children. I had more patience, I had more energy, I had more understanding. And even our words, we don't realize sometimes we are snarky, or we are sarcastic, or we like to throw low blows or shade, or you know what I mean? We like to sometimes, poke the bear sometimes and just make things worse by saying comments that are just unnecessary. So one thing I'm learning to do is choose my words wisely, like I said earlier. How is this going to hurt somebody? You know what I mean? Like, consciously think before I talk. You know what I mean? That's the one thing. And I know if anybody, when people do their fasting for, Easter Sunday and things like that, they do like, food, or not going to curse, or things like that. But one thing I try to do is just to fast my speech, like literally not talk. Because when you don't talk for a few hours in the day, not only do you gain the perspective, but you gain the understanding that, one, not everything needs to be said. And I think once you realize that not everything needs to be said, it saves your relationship, literally. Like, I'm the type of person that I am quick with the responses, girl. I am quick to make you hurt and feel and be on your knees if you need to. But
Yeah.
once I started learning, like, man, Mitzi, you're hurting more than you are helping. And then one of my goals this year is to bring life instead of death with my words. You know what I mean? That's one of my goals this year. So it's like I have to be consciously aware. So when you fast your speech and every time you feel like the urge to speak, I just pray. That's the moment I pray and I ask God to help me and be with me in that moment. But because it's like you once you get that prayer in and you stay quiet still, even in those moments where other people will make you or force you or tempt you to speech, and you stand your ground, you realize like you can still communicate in another form. And then you realize that other people are having more issues than you even realize. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like you gain
Yes.
a different perspective and a different respect for other people where it's just like you don't take things as personally.
There's so much power in what you just said, and I am
I
so
know I said a lot. I'm sorry.
no, I am so thankful for you for sharing that because there is so much there's just was so much truth to that. There was so many times like, yes, absolutely, absolutely. When we think about the fasting piece, gosh, man, I did not even make that correlation that we need to fast from our thoughts, from our speak, from, and I think it just covers a multitude of aspects of our life. Even fasting from the negative self-talk that we tell ourselves, like fasting from, yeah, like having to contribute all the time to something, the conversation, and just allowing yourself. Because I think for people, especially like you and I, who are talkers, we love to engage in those conversations. Sometimes that's almost an exercise in preservation and an exercise in teaching us that we don't always have to be the person speaking, that we
Yeah.
can listen and just accept and absorb and have it sink in a way that when we sit with it, it leaves us with so much more than
It
had we
does.
just been thinking about the next thing we were going to say. Oh,
Mm-hmm.
giving me chills. It's giving me goosebumps what you said. I love that. And I think that is such a perfect way to frame up your do the dang goal because it is mental health month. And you mentioned one of the things that you're working on for this year was kind of that cleanse of, the filter and of the thoughts and just, I love how you said that when you had the urge to speak you were praying. I thought that was beautifully put because I think sometimes I need that prayer almost like, hey Lord, like you know what I'm capable of. I'm just gonna
For
start it's just gonna start word vomiting, just start coming out. So literally
yeah.
give me like put the barrier in place so that I just zip it. But I ask all
Yeah.
of my guests, what is your do the dang goal? What is the a burning goal that you are working on accomplishing this year? Just one of those things that you're just really kind of been you've been building habits for, you've been, daily focusing on or at least more consistently focusing on accomplishing.
For me, I think my this year I'm working on, well, I guess because every year I try to focus on two words. You know what I mean? That'll help keep me give me momentum throughout the year, especially during those months where I'm just like I don't want to
Yeah.
do it. You know
Right.
what I mean? So it's like for me it's
Yep.
about consistency. One
Okay.
thing I realized in my family is a horrible habit of being inconsistent. And I realized it's a trait because it fell onto me. And I had to realize like, okay, what because I literally had to talk to God. I was like, God, what is stopping me from literally accomplishing my goals? Like, what is it? And he was like, inconsistency. And I was just like, well, that is powerful because I am not consistent. So one of the things I remind myself is being consistent. And then once I realized, I dived into more of trying to figure out how to be more consistent, I realized you can't have this consistency without discipline. You know what I mean? So then I realized, okay, I need to be disciplined. I need to remind myself that I'm doing this even if I don't like it, even if I don't feel good, even if it rains on my parade. You know what I mean? Like it's something
Mhm.
that needs to be done because it comes down to morals. Where is your morals? Where
Mhm.
are your values? You know what I'm saying? And do you have boundaries around those morals and values? Because if you don't, then you're never going to have discipline, and you're never going to have consistency, because your morals are all messed up. And once your morals and values are all messed up, then you're just a doormat, allowing anything and anyone to come through you because you don't even care. And then it comes back down to your words. It's like, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? So then the fact that it doesn't matter, then it doesn't matter if I'm consistent. It doesn't matter if I'm disciplined. It doesn't matter if I try this or this or that. You know what I mean? So it's just like everything ties in together, and we don't realize that. Like it truly affects your mental health. So being consistent is my goal this year. Being disciplined is my goal this year. Speaking life instead of death onto others is my goal. Trying to learn more about me, you know what I mean, and my dark sides, you know, I think is important, because everyone has a dark side. And I think the fact that we don't allow ourselves to dive into our own dark side, but we are quick to point out other people's dark sides. You know what I mean? We're quick to exactly point out other people's, but we don't want to acknowledge our own. So my goal is to also dive into my own, so I know why I'm so fucked up. Excuse me again for my language. You know what I mean? Like, because we're all crazy, but there's a reason why we're crazy. You know what I mean? Somebody made me crazy, you know? You know? So I think it comes down to, it just all comes down together. It's like a circle, you know? It just keeps going around in circles until you realize, like, this is where it stops.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I have absolutely loved our conversation, and you just have such a beautiful like heart and soul about you, and I love how you just, even as you share your story, you can just tell that you're pouring such a genuine, love and passion for wanting to share, educate, teach, coach, develop, to all of that. I mean, we didn't even get to talk about the children's books, but that's for another podcast episode.
Exactly. And excuse for me to come back. Exactly.
That's right. Exactly. Yes. Yes. But no, I am just so thankful. I think this will really help our listeners, frame up how they want to approach, mental health month, how they want to approach their own mental health, and find the things that work for them and that define, the little nuanced lies, or, negative self-talk, or those, lack of affirmations, whatever it may be, to find that this month and really lean into what's going to make you the healthiest and most whole version of yourself. And coming to peace with some of those things as well. So yes, it's just been such a joy to have you on. I mean, we hit it off so well when I had the opportunity to be on your podcast. And so this was such a delightful way to continue even our conversation too. But I want to make sure that listeners know where to find you. So can you share how people can connect with you, learn more about you, and follow you?
Yeah, yes, most definitely. And I absolutely agree. I think the conversation is just natural now because, we had our first initial conversation on my podcast. So if anybody wants to go check it out, please go check it out. My podcast is Mitzi. Let's think about it. You can find me on any type of podcast station that's your favorite, or YouTube, or just go to my website, mitzythinking.com, and you can find all the goodness that I have to offer to you guys. I have blogs. I have my children's books available there. I'm actually going to be doing a raffle. I don't know what it's called exactly. It's there, but I'm doing something where I'm going to give away my books. A nomination. There you go. That's what it's called. A nomination. Oh my goodness. So it's a nomination at the end of the year. I like to give where people can nominate, a school, or, a family, a charity, whatever that you want to nominate. I'm going to give my books away for free. I just want you guys to nominate someone or something, that will truly benefit from the books, because that's, at the end of the day, the point is to think and to shift our perspective. So you can find me, if you want to follow me on social media, Mitzi Thinking is the name to go to find, but you can always go on my website and all of the, what is it called? The links.
Yes.
The links, yes, the
links. Yes.
Yes. The links are there for all of the X, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, Pinterest, all that good stuff. You can find all of the goodness that I have to offer to the world.
Thank you so much, Mitzi. I really loved our conversation, and I'm so excited to just get this out in the world and to share all of the wonderful perspective and advice and just like nuggets of inspiration that you have poured into us today. as we continue to march on through May with mental health awareness.
Yay, thank you.
Thank you.